Kia ora guys, good afternoon and welcome back to the Black Jersey. My name's Max, I'm the host over here at this channel. A big thank you to my patrons over on Patreon as per normal. And for today's video, well, we are previewing the All Blacks versus Wallabies test at the Melbourne Cricket Ground over in Victoria, Australia. It is going to have a crowd of 80,000 people. A few people are getting a bit depressed about the state of rugby in Australia right now, but if I'm being brutally honest, this is the best space I've seen Australia in a long time. 80,000 people are coming to watch this game, and comparing that to Super Rugby when the crowds are absolutely barren, this will be huge for a potential revival of the Aussie team if the Wallabies actually perform decently. We're going to break down who's in each team, what this could mean for the game, and at the end of the game I'm going to share a few thoughts of mine about how it could go. First off, for the All Blacks, well, the team sheet hasn't had a crazy amount of changes. The front row is exactly the same as it was last week, as are the rest of the type 5 forwards. Their difference of the number 17 there rather. Ethan de Groot and Tyrell Lomax are continuing their just genuine revival as props under Jason Ryan, who has truly brought the best out of these guys. Protect Ethan de Groot at all costs, because we are seriously going to need de Groot and Lomax at number 1 and number 3 for this World Cup. Cody Taylor, who has played the most minutes a hooker throughout the Foster era, is continuing to play over in that position, and an even better player as per usual is backing him up. Samisoni Taukei'aho is excellent and will add so much impact off that bench. He is truly just a world-class hooker right now, and they are impact props. Ofa Tu'ungafasi and Nepo Laulala, the difference in their height, I still keep thinking to myself, how badly is this damaging our scrum? The guys are both excellent players with excellent technique, but I do continue to question, is it worth their club level cohesion from the Blues to have the difference in height in the scrum? I'm not 100% sure, but I do trust these guys to do the basics of their role, so everything is going to be okay. I believe in them. Over at lock, Brodie Retallick and Scott Barrett are continuing to start because Sam Whitelock in jersey 19 is coming back from injury. He is not played a lot of rugby as of late. He had a sore calf through most of the end of Super Rugby, but returned to the final and played man of the match. Whereas over here, he's coming back from that same sore calf. And so, healing that Achilles that is making his calf sore has been a big one for him. He's just trying to stay fit for the World Cup, and if it has to mean he's wrapped up in cotton wool like he is right now, then so be it. Retallick and Barrett played really well against South Africa last week, and with Shannon Frizzell over a blindside flanker, there's no need to worry about the height of this lineout. With Dalton Papali'i coming in for Sam Cane as well, that's definitely going to add a little bit more of that height for the lineout as well. Papali'i at 1.93 meters is a much more respectable jumper than Sam Cane, who definitely has to have both locks lifting him. So even though Papali'i is starting at 7, Frizzell played really well against South Africa, got man of the match, and so keeping him in the team is probably the best thing as he's going in for form. I think Frizzell is possibly opening a World Cup spot up for Josh Lord, which will be really good. Ardie Savia is captain of the All Blacks for the 5th time as well. Awesome stuff. He totally deserves it. If they're just trying to ease Whitelock back in, that's fair enough. Kane has a sore neck, as I'm pretty sure I said to you guys. He hasn't broken it again, anything like that. It's just precautionary that he's not playing. Aaron Smith and Richie Mo'unga, the 9-10 axis. Well, it makes sense. You've got Taylor as the first choice at 2, Savia the first choice 8, Smith the first choice 9, and Mo'unga the first choice 10. They're continuing to keep that spine solid, though Beauden Barrett is covering over at fullback. As for the midfielders, Geordie Barrett, Rieko Ioane, and all of the outside backs are just getting such an easy run thanks to the amazing pack the All Blacks have right now. And the bench, though, is causing a bit of controversy because Luke Jacobson, fair enough, he does need minutes for the World Cup. Cam Roigard, everyone wants him to be there over Finlay Christie. Fair enough, Cam Roigard's in really good form. I can't wait to see his debut. But a lot of people are saying, where's McKenzie? Where's so-and-so? Put Jordan at fullback. The thing is, Anton Leonard-Brown's experience is going to be very useful off the bench. He's played massive minutes with David Havili and Rieko Ioane under Foster. Though they haven't come recently, he has that reference point for the past. Braden Ennor, who's been the guy off the bench recently, doesn't have that same experience. Havili, Ioane, and Barrett are all lock-ins for the World Cup squad because they've just played so many minutes under Foster. And Leonard Brown being a cooler head than McKenzie and being in midfield combination with these guys all the time in the past, has to remain a lock-in for that experience. And with Caleb Clarke also in there over Mackenzie, the reason they're doing this is so Mark Talia and Will Jordan, they can just help us out under the high ball. Because the thing is, if Jordie Barrett isn't playing fullback, you just need an entire back three that is solely picked on their ability under the high ball and as defenders, because Jordie Barrett, in my view, is the only fullback that is up to test standard as a defender. Without Jordie in the backfield to save us from oncoming players, Talia and Jordan and the wingers, they're the next best thing. Talia and Jordan have very low error rates, but the thing is they still want to be able to default to a few game plans from 2022. Joe Schmidt last year used Ardie Savia and Caleb Clarke as interchangeable single-man pods out wide, and so if things aren't quite going our way, well, it's a good thing to fall back on the default of the system, and Clarke is the only guy that's able to fill those roles as Leicester Faianga. Anuku has a sore calf, and Modi Narawa has a sore back, so sorry to Sean Stevenson, Damian McKenzie fans. I may be a Chiefs fan, but I'm an All Blacks fan first, and they've done the right thing by putting ALB and Caleb Clarke on the bench. I'm also very happy to see Talia and Jordan in there. We'll take a quick ad break, then I'll share my thoughts on who the Wallabies have picked for the test. Now, the Wallabies team selection is rather interesting, to say the least. In the front row, one of the few proven spots. It's also fair enough that he wants to have James Slipper coming off the bench to close the game out. Against Argentina and South Africa, the reserve type 5 forwards just weren't able to close that game out, and so he's going for Angus Bell to provide a bit of mobility, with Dave Parecki and Alan Ala-Alator being the first choice guys, because with Bell in there for that mobility, you do need to pair him with experience. Taniela Tupou as well, by pairing him with Slipper, you get the scrum to remain a similar height throughout the match, all the way through, and when Bell departs, you don't lose that same like mobility and stuff like that. The thing is, with Slipper coming on with Tupou, you've got the rock solid scrummager and the ball playing prop on either side. You're not just pairing them together, you've always got one of the different attributes on the pitch at once. Jordan Uelese and David Parecki, well, they are clearly the picks at hooker that Jones has settled on for the World Cup. As for the locks, Nick Frost provides a bit of that ball-playing ability that Bell's going to give you, whereas Will Skelton is the total opposite. Just like Ala-Alator, he's a big fella that's going to help in the scrum. Jones is really starting to pair decent scrummaging technique with true, honest ball-carrying type 5 forwards right now. As for the loose forwards though, this is a bit of a Los Pumas feel right now, because he is fielded as two blindside flankers. Jed Holloway is 6'5", Tom Hooper is 6'6", and Rob Valentini at 1.93 meters is 6'4". All three of the loose forwards in this lineout can jump, and with Dalton Papali'i selected for the All Blacks, I think Eddie Jones just had that gut feeling Kane wouldn't be in there, and with the All Blacks just having their extra height, he felt the need to counter it, and that's absolutely fair enough, because the breakdown for the Wallabies has been a huge area where they've been penalised all the time. So with Michael Hooper unable to be selected due to injury, Jones is just thinking to himself, right, you know what? It's not worth contesting every single breakdown. Let's just pick and choose our battles at the breakdown to avoid the penalties, and let's just have some humongous bodies on that pitch to clean the rucks when we have possession. Obviously with Valentini at number 8, well, he's there to carry, so hopefully that's going to work out well, and he has entrusted the 9-10 axis to the future of the gold and green jersey. Tate McDermott, who's captain the Reds before, is in at 9, whereas Carter Gordon, after a few flashes of brilliance, appears to be the player that we all thought Noah Lolesio was going to be. Noah Lolesio never truly fired at test level in my opinion, but with a few flashes of brilliance there from Gordon off the bench into 2 tests, fair enough, go for it. You just want to play expansive rugby with a lot of running, this is the way you're going to do it. To counteract Carter Gordon's relatively small size and Marika Koroibete and Andrew Callaway's small size, he's gone for Samu Karevi and Jordan Bataya in midfield. Fingers crossed that is going to go okay, because they have not played a lot of time in midfield together. The wingers, as I said, Koroibete, fingers crossed they're not going to be too weak defensively in that backfield. Mark Nawangani-Tawasi though, he is starting to look like a true superstar, and hopefully he gives us a real good game this evening on the Saturday. Callaway, not my favourite player, very solid on attack, but his defence, this is going to be a huge test for him. Fingers crossed he will step up. As I said before, the height is just going to be crucial for that lineout as well. That's why Richie Arnold is remaining on the bench. Rob Leota is a blindside number 8 cover as well. well. And as they're going just all out on cleaning the rucks, not giving away penalties, well, this is probably the right way to go. You can't just get people who have the instincts to jackal at every single breakdown. You've just got to have those bodies on the pitch if there's no turnover opportunity. This is the right thing. Nick White and Quade Cooper, though, having them on the bench has been done for the same reason as James Slipper being on the bench. They need experienced shoulders to close these games out. The Wallabies have been starting really well so far this Rugby Championship. They got the opening try against South Africa, for example, but closing it out in both tests, it just hasn't been done. Quade Cooper gave away that penalty at the end, for example, perhaps as he won't be fatigued after coming off the bench. Like, that lack of that same fatigue is going to help keep him cooler, as we saw in previous games under Dave Rennie. He's just so good when he keeps cool, and this is ultimately, I think, the way Eddie Jones is going to keep him, like, just regarding his temperament, you know what I mean? Isaiah Parisi on the bench, fair enough, not a huge amount of decent midfielders over there. That's probably the best option there. So what do I think overall of this Wallabies squad? I've really been thinking to myself throughout the last few weeks after that Argentinian loss for Australia that they definitely are heading in the right direction. I am absolutely guilty of reading in too much of that South African loss at Loftus Versfeld, and I've been thinking to myself this game could go either one or two ways. I'm thinking the All Blacks are going to win by an absolutely massive margin, like I'm talking huge, way up there. A massive margin that's so high that the amount of dominoes I'm using to count the score can't even fit into the frame of the camera. Or the Wallabies are going to absolutely shock us, turn up, fired up for the MCG, wanting to just restore their brotherly rivalry with the All Blacks rather than just continue to hold that huge animosity. Under Dave Rennie's Wallabies, I don't think I've ever seen a rugby team that has received so much animosity from the opposition, and I think Eddie Jones just simply wants to restore the reputation of the Wallabies, even if it comes to a cost of his own win percentage as the Wallabies coach. Whether the Wallabies or the All Blacks win, I'm not sure how it's going to go. I'm definitely leaning more towards the All Blacks, but if the All Blacks win, huge margin. If the Wallabies win, very tight margin. Leave your thoughts down below in the comment section as well, guys, and support me over on Instagram and over on Threads to check out my extra content. Always getting up the rugby content. Love this game so much. Make sure to subscribe to me if you enjoyed the video as well. I'm really just wishing both these teams good luck for the weekend. I'll see you later, everybody. Cheers from Max.